Pouring sizzling, spiced oil over a finished dish creates an immediate sensory reaction. The sudden heat releases a cloud of toasted aromas and coats the food in a rich, complex finish. This process is known as Tadka, chonk, or tempering. Cooks across regional Indian and Mughal cuisines have relied on this specific method for centuries to build deep, complex flavor profiles. Over the next 5 minutes, you will learn the chronology needed to execute this technique. We will cover timing your ingredients, avoiding burnt, delicate spices, and managing total fat content.
Want to learn real cooking the simple way? Join me every Sunday for cooking basics and Amma's secret recipes. Come, let's cook.
Laboratory analysis shows that steeping spices in oil releases up to 10 times more aromatic compounds than boiling them in water. When home-cooked meals taste flat, dusty, or metallic, it is typically because the flavor molecules remain trapped inside the dried plant material, rather than being integrated into the dish. The traditional technique of Tadka utilizes hot fat as a chemical solvent to perform a rapid thermal extraction of those dormant oils. This specific chemical reaction creates the depth and complexity that defines professional-level flavor.
The technique solves a biological problem. A spice's essential flavor oils are locked within rigid plant cell walls, and boiling these spices in a water-based broth fails to generate enough heat to release them. This split-screen diagram shows the chemical solution. On the left, water fails to penetrate the spice. On the right, fat molecules successfully dissolve and encapsulate the oils, extracting up to 10 times more flavor than water could. Executing Tadka requires applying the physics of lipid extraction to your ingredients. Once you know how heat interacts with the cellular structure of the spices, you can consistently maximize the aromatic profile of everyday pantry staples. Step 1 is strict organization. Because this extraction happens in seconds, you must pre-measure all your spices and arrange them in the sequence they will go into the pan. You will not have time to prep ingredients once the heat is on. Next, choose your cooking fat. Traditional ghee is rich and aids in nutrient absorption, while a neutral cooking oil will allow the pure flavor of the spices to stand out without interference. If you are cutting calories, you can adapt this. Start with a cold, non-stick pan and mist it evenly with a high-quality oil sprayer. This provides enough lipid coverage to carry the flavors using a fraction of the total fat. Unless you are using that specific cold pan spray method, avoid these 2 errors. Adding whole spices to a pool of cold oil results in soggy, flat flavors, and walking away from the stove guarantees ruined ingredients. High smoke point fats like ghee act as an efficient solvent, capable of deeply penetrating the lignified cell walls of whole seeds. When a seed hits fat heated to 320 degrees Fahrenheit, internal moisture vaporizes, fracturing the cellular structure and releasing volatile oils into the pan. The hot fat encapsulates these oils immediately, preventing them from evaporating and allowing them to dissolve into the liquid matrix. Having your ingredients in order and selecting the correct fat builds the required chemical matrix. Now we introduce the heat. Bring your oil to approximately 350 degrees Fahrenheit. You are looking for a shimmer, not smoke. To verify the temperature, drop in a single test seed. If it immediately sizzles, you are ready to begin. Drop in your dense whole seeds, like mustard or cumin. As they hit the hot fat, the tiny amount of moisture trapped inside each seed instantly flashes into steam. That rapidly expanding steam creates immense internal pressure. The rigid cell wall fractures, ejecting the trapped essential oils directly into the fat. This sound confirms that the steam pressure has reached the critical threshold required to break the seed coat and release its oils without burning the surrounding fat. Monitoring this acoustic rhythm provides a precise measure of successful extraction without needing a thermometer. Effective tempering relies heavily on kinetic sequencing, adding ingredients strictly chronologically based on their specific density and precise burn points. Listen closely to the pan. A distinct popping and crackling sound is your auditory proof that mechanical fracture and flavor extraction are actively taking place. You have to monitor the heat closely. If the temperature climbs too high, extraction turns into pyrolytic burning, leaving you with carbonized ash instead of toasted flavor.
Managing dense seeds requires applying enough thermal energy to fracture the shell, and then stepping in right before the ingredients burn. After about 30 seconds of seed popping, the violent reactions will begin to slow. This is when you introduce your medium aromatics, like dried chilies and curry leaves. Be prepared for aggressive spluttering. Fresh leaves hold residual moisture, and when that hits the hot fat, the water vaporizes instantly. Make sure you are not using damp or stale ingredients. Old spices lack the volatile oils needed for flavor, and excess moisture will cause dangerous, unpredictable splattering. Quickly follow the leaves with wet aromatics, like chopped onions or garlic paste. These alliums provide flavor, but they also serve a crucial mechanical function. Look at this graph tracking the temperature of the oil. The heat is steadily climbing toward a critical point, but the moment wet alliums enter the pan, they act as a thermal buffer. The moisture instantly drops the oil's temperature, stopping the seeds from burning. Delaying this step is a major error. Without that sudden drop in temperature, the residual heat pushes the whole seeds past the burn threshold, leaving you with fried, bitter ash. By using wet aromatics as an emergency brake, you successfully transition the pan from a high-heat extraction environment into a safe, flavor-building simmer. Now we reach the final stage of tempering, ground powders like turmeric, chili, and garam masala. Because these spices are finely milled, they have a massive surface area. If you drop them into a fully hot pan, they will absorb the heat instantly and scorch in under 5 seconds. Before adding any powder, turn your burner to its lowest setting, or pull the pan completely off the heat. In the warm residual oil, the ground spices safely dissolve. They instantly tint the fat, turning it into a glowing, intensely colored flavor carrier. Adding powders at the beginning of the process guarantees failure. Scorched powder turns acrid and cannot be salvaged. You must throw it out and start over. The order of operations is dictated by physics. You move from the densest ingredients to those with the highest surface area. With your spices fully extracted, you are ready for the final pour. But first, let the pan rest off the heat for 5 to 10 seconds. This brief cooling period prevents the hot fat from flash vaporizing moisture in your lentils or vegetables. It keeps your kitchen clean and prevents burns.
Fully carbonized spices cannot be salvaged and must be discarded. However, if spices are browning too rapidly, a quick addition of ginger garlic paste can absorb the excess heat. The process concludes by pouring the shimmering, infused oil directly over the finished dish, transforming a basic home meal into a scientifically optimized sensory experience.
This flowchart summarizes the required sequence. You move from the highest density to the highest surface area. Whole, dense seeds first, then medium leaves, followed by cooling wet aromatics. Finish off the heat with your delicate ground powders. Following this exact sequence extracts 10 times more flavor from your pantry staples than basic methods. Understanding the underlying physics of tempering shifts you from blindly following instructions to confidently orchestrating flavor.
Identify the specific mistake you were making from this list and tell us in the comments. Subscribe for our next lesson.
Hope today's recipe brought a smile to your face. We bring Amma's secret recipes to life. Join our family, new videos every Sunday. Please like, share and subscribe. This is Deepak Kshatriya signing off. Jai Hind, Jai Karnataka, Namaskara.